Don't act like you're worth anything. If you disappear, Ryan will have more money to spend. Those cruel words from my mother-in-law finally broke me. I had endured Ryan's endless womanizing and heavy drinking, but hearing such heartless remarks from his parents was unbearable. Holding back tears, I packed my things and walked out of the house. "Don't come back," my mother-in-law yelled behind me. Her words echoed in my mind as tears rolled down my face, but as I left, I made a silent vow, this wasn't the end. I grabbed my phone and called the bank. "Freeze all accounts in Ryan's name," I instructed firmly. "My name is Ellie. I lost my parents when I was young and was raised by my grandmother. She was the one who spent everything, my parents' and grandfather's inheritance, to ensure I got a good education. She even paid for me to finish high school. I always dreamed of taking care of her someday, but she passed away before I could. Without her, I was completely alone. College wasn't an option for me, but I wanted to do something meaningful. I worked hard, studied day and night, and passed the civil service exam. That's how I became a police officer. 5 years later, I met Ryan through a mutual friend. He was 3 years older and worked for a small business. He was charming, supportive of my job, and fun to be around. After a year of dating, I told him about my past and how I didn't have a family. I worried he might feel sorry for me, but instead, he said, "Then maybe I can be your family, Ellie." Before I could respond, Ryan pulled out a ring and said, "I'll make sure you're happy, Ellie." Tears filled my eyes, and I accepted his proposal. I thought marriage would mark the start of a happy new chapter, but Ryan had other plans. "Would you consider living with my parents?" he asked one day. He explained that his parents wanted us to live with them. "My parents really like you, Ellie. If you're okay with it, I think it could be a good idea," he said hesitantly. I was thrilled. "Of course, let's live with them," I replied, imagining the warmth of a big family, something I had always longed for. But reality was very different. Living with his parents meant I had to do all the household chores. Ryan's father, Brian, was retired, and his mother, Heather, stayed home, but neither of them helped. When I asked for help one day, Heather snapped, "Housework is the wife's duty, just do it." Ryan wasn't any better. "I'm busy, too. Sorry, Ellie," he said with a dismissive smile when I asked him for help. Heather even scolded me for asking Ryan to buy groceries after work. "Ryan works hard all day. How dare you ask him to do such trivial things?" she yelled. The kind, welcoming in-laws I had met before marriage were gone. They constantly criticized me, especially for continuing to work. Brian once told me, "Quit your job and take care of the family. That's where a woman's happiness lies." Heather agreed, adding, "A wife's responsibility is to her husband and his family." Ryan, meanwhile, insisted I hide the true nature of my job from his parents. "If they knew what you really did, it would make me look bad," he said, worried about their old-fashioned views. So, I reluctantly let them believe I worked part-time at a factory. To them, I was a mediocre, unambitious woman, and they treated me like a maid, but I refused to give up my job. It was my purpose. As time went on, Ryan started coming home late and spending weekends away. At first, I thought he was just busy, but soon, I couldn't ignore my growing suspicion. "Ryan, you've been staying out late and going out more often. What's going on?" I finally asked. "Where are you going?" I asked Ryan. "It's work. Didn't I tell you things are busy? I've been working weekends too," he replied casually without looking me in the eyes. His vague response only made me more suspicious. "Are you hiding something from me?" "There's nothing to hide," he said, annoyed. Before I could press further, Heather stormed in. "Who do you think you are, questioning him?" she shouted, glaring at me. Ryan seemed relieved she had interrupted. "You say you work late, but how do I know that's true?" I raised my voice, frustrated. Heather cut me off immediately. "Stop causing trouble over Ryan coming home late," she yelled. Apologizing, I watched them both leave the room, leaving me sitting there in shock. Later, in our room, Ryan seemed apologetic. "I'm sorry, Ellie. What do you want from me? Do you want me to quit my job like your parents keep saying?" I asked. "If you quit, I couldn't support everyone alone," he admitted, surprising me since my income was much higher than his. Still, he insisted I keep my job a secret from his parents. My in-laws' harassment only got worse. Ryan would criticize me within earshot, finding fault in everything I did, even the meals I carefully prepared. Heather started imposing ridiculous rules, like turning off the gas while I tried to bathe or draining the tub so I had to shower in cold water. I began bathing at work to avoid getting sick, but even that didn't stop them. One day, I came home to find my room's door open and my things missing, cosmetics, jewelry, all gone. Heather, did you go into my room? I asked. She looked angry. What are you accusing me of? Brian also denied it. If that's the case, it might have been an intruder. I'll report this to the police, I said calmly. At this, they both looked startled. That's ridiculous, they exclaimed, trying to stop me. Their reaction confirmed my suspicion. I installed a lock on my door, but Heather complained. What are you hiding? They began monitoring me more closely, listening at the door or questioning me if I answered the phone. When I told Ryan about their behavior, including the cold showers and constant restrictions, he dismissed my concerns. Doesn't your workplace have a shower? He asked with a smile. How long do I have to endure this? I keep my job a secret, deal with their abuse, and you won't even help me, I cried. If you hate it so much, just quit your job. Maybe my parents will stop bothering you, he replied, annoyed. That evening, Ryan drank heavily, as he often did. Whenever he drank, he refused to listen to me and would shout if I tried to talk. Are you really going to work, or are you spending time with someone else? I finally asked, unable to hold back. Ryan's tone turned cold. What are you implying? You're cheating, aren't you? I accused him. Without proof. Don't accuse me. If you're serious, bring the divorce papers. I'll sign them, he said before leaving the room. I was stunned. I had trusted him, thinking he'd change, but his words shattered me. I realized there was no reason to keep sacrificing myself for him or his family. The next morning, after another night shift, I made breakfast. Brian sneered. Out all night again? Who knows what you're really doing out there? I told you, I work night shifts. Why are you always suspicious? I tried to stay calm, but he glared at me. You say that, but you're probably out cheating, he said. Heather nodded in agreement, clearly enjoying the accusations. That was the last straw. I quietly packed my bags, ignoring their insults. If you're gone, Ryan will have more spending money. He'll be happier without you, Heather said smugly as I walked out the door. Thank you for everything. Don't ever contact me again, I said firmly and left. Tears streamed down my face, but I promised myself this wasn't the end. I took out my phone and called the bank. Please freeze all accounts under Ryan's name, I instructed. The next day, as expected, my in-laws called. What's going on? The account and cards aren't working, Ryan shouted angrily over the phone. You must have stolen money from Ryan's account. This is a crime, Heather accused me, but they were wrong. It was finally time to reveal the truth. I didn't steal anything. The accounts you've been using are actually in my name. The savings account is also in my name, I said calmly. Ryan laughed. That's impossible. Someone like you, working part-time, wouldn't have that kind of money. Check the credit cards in the drawer, I replied. They all have my name on them. There was a pause. Then I heard them fumbling to check. Moments later, I heard a scream. Why is everything in your name, even the credit cards? Did you switch the names? This is fraud, they sounded frantic. I kept my voice steady. Ryan is unemployed. That's why everything is under my name. Silence followed. It was clear they didn't know how to respond. I explained that Ryan had lost his job 6 months ago after causing trouble at work. He'd been pretending to go to the office, but was really spending his days in internet cafes and meeting women he found on dating apps. He'd even been caught with his boss's wife, which is why he was fired. Despite losing his job, he kept seeing other women and spent his part-time income on them. Meanwhile, I was the one earning money to support the household. Ryan scoffed. What are you talking about? You couldn't possibly be supporting the household. I'm a police officer, I said firmly, finally revealing the truth. Ryan had asked me to keep my job a secret, but I had nothing left to hide. His parents, who always called me useless and uneducated, were speechless. You've been lying to us all this time, Heather stammered. I didn't lie, Ryan did, I replied. I explained how I had been working hard to save for our future while Ryan spent our money on his affairs. Brian tried to dismiss it. We never needed your money anyway. That's fine, I replied. You won't have it anymore. I won't be staying. I showed them the evidence I had collected of their harassment, recordings, photos, and proof of the restrictions they had placed on me. You can't do anything with this. We're family, Brian said smugly. Family or not, I can still sue you in civil court, I responded. That shut them up. I gathered my things and left the house, ignoring their pathetic attempts to justify their behavior. Later, at my lawyer's office, I had Ryan meet me. He arrived reeking of alcohol, his mood overly cheerful, as though he didn't understand the seriousness of the situation. "You've been cheating on me, haven't you?" I asked. "So what?" he replied with a smirk. "You even lost your job because of an affair," I said, watching his face twist in irritation. "If you're unhappy, we can just get a divorce," he snapped. "Fine," I said, "let's get divorced." He didn't expect me to agree so easily. Still, he signed the papers without much thought. I handed him a harsh reality: without me, he wouldn't have access to the accounts or savings anymore. His face turned pale when he realized how much he depended on my income. Ryan tried to backtrack, begging me not to leave. "I promise I'll change. My parents won't bother you anymore." "It's not me you need," I said, "it's my money." I also made it clear that his cheating would cost him. If he didn't cooperate with the divorce, I would go after the women he'd been seeing and demand compensation from them, too. I had all the evidence I needed. In the end, Ryan agreed to pay alimony and signed the divorce papers. A few days later, I filed the papers at City Hall and my marriage was officially over. I also sued my in-laws for emotional distress and won a small compensation. It wasn't much, but it was symbolic, a victory for my dignity. Ryan and his parents had to sell their house and move into a tiny apartment. I heard they're now struggling with part-time jobs to make ends meet. Ryan's mistresses abandoned him, and he hasn't had any luck finding a new partner. Looking back, I'm glad Ryan kept my job a secret from his parents. If they had known I was a police officer, they might have tried to use me even more. Now, I live independently in the women's police dormitory. After enduring so much pain in my marriage, I finally feel free. I focus on my work every day, protecting people and helping make the world safer. Despite everything, I'm grateful I didn't let them break me. I found peace and strength in my freedom.